There is such a fascination about the way we think. And if you really think about it, it's so different, and it's different for everyone. But sometimes the way you think can be hard for others to understand. Well, Dr. Temple Grandin is here this morning to fill us in on her new book that might help us all kind of get a better understanding of each other. Hello, it's such a pleasure to have you, Doctor.
Well, it's great to be here.
Well, I can tell you that I started to read the book as a mom of two very different kids. I'm so fascinated, and I'm only like 5 or 6 pages in. Tell me about it.
Well, I'm a visual thinker. Everything I think about is a picture, like a photograph, which made me good at working with animals, working with mechanical things. And I didn't even know that other people thought in words until I was in my 30s.
Oh, really?
And one of the things I get into in the book is the science behind different kinds of thinking, like the people who think in pictures, the object visualizers. Then you have the mathematicians that think in patterns, not pictures, but patterns. And then, of course, you got word thinkers. And lots of people are mixtures of the different kinds of thinking.
Okay.
And they have different skills that can work together in a complementary manner.
I was about to ask you, can they get mixed? For example, somebody who thinks in patterns can also be a word thinker, so they can intervene.
Well, some people are mixtures, but I spent years working with the large meatpacking plants on designing equipment, and it was very interesting how the engineering is divided up. The object visualizers that work in the shop, often just took a welding class, maybe just graduated from high school, they're inventing all kinds of mechanical devices. There used to be the big Montfort fab shop. And then your degreed engineer, your mathematician, does boilers, refrigeration, wind loads, snow loads on roofs, power and water requirements, the things that require more of the mathematics. And I found that division of engineering in every single meat company I've worked with. That's true for all food factories.
That's so interesting to me. Now, in the book, you mentioned that we are pretty much all on the spectrum. Can you elaborate more?
Autism, it's like some of the social circuits don't get hooked up. So maybe half the population would be kind of on the autism spectrum, because when the slightly nerdy become autism. And then you have people that remain non-speaking. That are more severe challenges. So you've got a great big spectrum. But I worked with people that owned metalworking shops that build equipment for me, and that equipment's being used right now in both of the beef plants.
Yeah.
And one of the people I worked with had autism, undiagnosed. And he was undiagnosed, and these people are all retiring out. And you know what? They're not getting replaced. And I call these people the clever engineers. And they're not getting replaced because they won't let special ed kids take welding class or shop. But the thing is, in my generation, special ed built the stuff and owned the shops.
That's right. And again, such a neat take to have somebody shed some light on that. Now, why do you feel it's so important to look at all ways of thinking, crucial with school-aged kids?
Well, we need the skills. We have a huge shortage of skilled trades. Huge, huge shortage. The people that I worked with have retired out. We have a huge shortage of people to fix things. Thinking in pictures is a different way of thinking. You might see something that might be a risk. I can't believe the amount of people on airplanes that put a cup of water on their open laptop. There's no way I would do that.
Right.
I can see it spilling and destroying the laptop.
Okay.
Okay, that's just a simple example of seeing risk.
Okay.
Where maybe the engineer would calculate what's the probability this water might spill on this laptop.
Yeah,
You see, it's a different approach to problem solving, and we need both kinds of minds. I'm worried that my kind of mind is getting screened out because it can't do algebra. But I've done a lot of research on animal behavior. Algebra is too abstract for me to understand. And I think we need to be changing some things in education. Well, let me take accounting or take business math or statistics or maybe geometry. And because some people think you need to have algebra to think logically. No, that's not how I think. And I think there's a lot of people in the school systems that don't understand that thinking in pictures is a different kind of thought, and we need these skills.
We do need
Absolutely need these skills. I've been doing a lot of travel now, and I've been on many questionable elevators.
I'm sure you have.
They have not getting serviced.
Oh my goodness. And see, I think it's so interesting, and I love that you put an example behind thinking in pictures, because how do you know your way of thinking.
Well, in the HBO movie Temple Grandin showed exactly how I think. And one of the reasons why I did this book, which is the young reader's edition, kind of an abridged edition. I have another bigger version of this book, Visual Thinking, but you'll get everything you need out of this book. They have aimed at younger readers.
Sure.
But I'm worried that these kids are getting screened out, and I'm worried about skill loss. For example, food processing equipment, a lot of it's coming out of Italy and Holland now. We're
Okay.
not making it. Things like
Interesting fact.
the Steve Jobs Theater, structural glass walls from Italy and Germany. There's a lot of specialized stuff we're not making. State-of-the-art electronic chip making machine. It's from Holland, but it's based on research done here at a university, on mathematical research done here, but the machine comes from Holland.
Okay.
And it goes back to their educational system. You know, in Holland and other parts of Europe, you can go to the university or you can go to the tech. Tech is not a lesser kind of thinking.
Okay.
And one of the big mistakes a lot of companies have made is shutting down their in-house engineering department.
Oh,
Gigantic
wow.
big mistake.
Yeah.
And that's why I did these books.
So again, this one right here, I would also imagine is good for parents.
Oh yes, it's
Parents need to
basically.
read
Oh yeah,
this.
you can read this too. It's basically the abridged version.
Yeah.
But it's written so that middle school kids can read it, and the publisher made me cut the reference list. But I'll tell you right now, the references on the science by the different kinds of thinkers, I did not cut that part of the reference list.
Okay.
Just boring school policy stuff.
Good to know. And a final question that I have for you is, what advice do you have for someone who might be struggling in school or fitting in because they might have a different brain process?
Well, I
way
was
of thinking?
bullied horribly in high school, and the places where I had friends was friends who shared interests. For me, it was riding horses. For another kid, it might be robotics club.
Yeah.
Okay, I would build the robot mechanical part, and the mathematical person is going to do the programming. So that's an example of the two kinds of thinking working together. You see, you need to have both.
You need to have both. I think it's very strategic, by the way.
You really, really need to have both.
It's so wonderful to have you here with us this morning. I can tell you I'm already into this book. I think it's great for parents and kiddos, especially with everything they're faced with in today's
Well, it's
world.
got a really cool cover. I did not do
Yes.
that, but they had an artist do that.
I love the
really
cover.
cool cover.
The poppy blue. It's great. Thank you so much for your time today. A pleasure to
Well,
have you.
thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay, everyone, you can get Dr. Grandin's new book, Different Kinds of Minds, A Guide to Your Brain, wherever books are sold. Well, that was a fascinating interview with Dr. Grandin. Watch it again on our website, or you can also check out our YouTube page. All right.